story time about how I caught my aunt and boyfriend hooking up at a family function. That's gross. So as always, a little background information. Every year since my mom and stepdad were together, they would throw these Christmas parties. And everyone on both sides of the family would come to these. Anyways, like I said, everybody on both sides of the family would come to these Christmas parties. Even though everybody would just come to these things to talk shit on each other, I was really excited because this was the first year that I was allowed to invite my boyfriend to a family function. Let me tell you a little backstory on why he wasn't allowed to come to any of the family functions before this. So one of my cousins, she would literally like have a new boyfriend every single year, right? And eventually my mom got fed up with it because every year she was buying gifts for a new guy. So she was like, oh, you're not gonna be like Kels and have a new boyfriend at every single family event, you know, because we're the same person. Sis, really? So yeah, I was super excited about this. And by the way, my boyfriend and I had been dating for like 2 years. Our 2-year anniversary was actually 5 days after this Christmas party. Anyways, we were both juniors in high school. So, you know, the party's going good at first. All the adults are getting drunk and all the little kids are playing on their iPads. And thankfully, my boyfriend was getting along with all of my family. I didn't think there would be a problem with that because my family is very judgmental. And I mean in a way where they judge you off of how much money you have. Even though none of them have enough money to be judging people off of that, but you know. So pretty much I just mean that my family is full of assholes. I know some of us can relate to that. So we all sit down to dinner and one of my aunts is extremely drunk. Like this girl could not hold her head up at the dinner table. Embarrassing. Anyway, she is sitting on the other side of my boyfriend, talking to him most of the time, not really paying attention to anybody else, even though everybody is trying to talk to her because she just announced on Facebook that she was pregnant. So I'm getting like sus vibes, but then again, I have to remember that she's drunk. Yes, she was drinking when she was pregnant and nobody said anything to her. What a surprise. So like I said, I thought that was a little sus, but I brushed it off because she was just drunk. Well, after dinner, my mom told me that it was my year to help do the dishes, even though she said that every year. So I help her clean up the dishes before we do presents. And I look over to see what my boyfriend is doing, and what do you know? He is talking to my aunt again. This time they are way too close to each other and she's being super touchy with him, giving me very much pedo vibes. And I guess low-key my mom notices too, because she kind of did that thing where you kind of nudge someone and then you go, yeah, she did that. So my mom was catching on to things pretty quick. Quicker than I was. So yeah, they're both being pretty sus at this point. Well, after I'm done doing the dishes, I walk over and I ask him like, hey, what were you guys talking about? You know, like she's really drunk right now. And he says, yeah, she's like really drunk. Mind you, they also let my boyfriend drink. Why? I don't know. I wasn't allowed to drink though. How fair is that? I had a pretty rough night. But yeah, no, he goes, yeah, she's pretty drunk, but I am too. And I'm like, okay, what were you guys talking about though? He was like, well, I could have swore that she tried to grab my junk. Now me, because she is part of my family, I'm like, that's not true. You know, like, so I had said to him, maybe she's just really drunk. Maybe she just fell over, you know. He goes, yeah, you're probably right. Mind you, when I say my aunt was drunk, like she showed up obliterated and she was still drinking at the party. So once again, I couldn't keep an eye on either of them because I was Santa's little helper, which meant I had to pass out all the gifts to everyone. I swear, at this point, the family was just taking advantage of me. So while I'm being Santa's little helper, my boyfriend had asked me if he could go and get a charger out of my room. Because it's like 11 o'clock, he's supposed to go home soon. So I just tell him to go upstairs and get one himself. Also, my boyfriend and I weren't allowed alone up in my room. So he goes upstairs, goes to grab a charger, and weirdly enough, my aunt, trotting behind him, says, I need to throw up. Now, instead of using the bathroom downstairs, which was there for a reason, for guests, When she's going up the stairs, I'm like, oh, like, you can use the bathroom down here. She's like, no, I would feel comfortable if I was up in your parents' room. So she goes upstairs to my parents' room and yaks up there. This Christmas party is like a fucking circus at this point, I swear. And while I'm handing out gifts, I just happen to look over at my boyfriend's book bag that is sitting right by the couch, and I see a phone charger sticking right out of it. How weird, right? That sounds a little weird to me. So 10 minutes goes by, I'm still sitting there handing out gifts, and my mom pulls me aside and says, hey, I want you to go upstairs and check on them. And she just gives me this look, and I know exactly what this look is. It's the look of they better not be up there doing something they're not supposed to be doing. So I walk upstairs, and right whenever you walk upstairs, there's my mom's bedroom right in front of the stairs. The door is open, and I walk in, and the bathroom door is wide open. Nobody's in there. It looked like nobody had been in there because my mom's clothes from earlier were still sitting on the bathroom toilet. So then if you walk out of my mom's room to the left, you go all the way down the hall, there's my room. Well, I'm walking down the hall and I walk into my bedroom. My bed is on the right. I see my aunt and my boyfriend hooking up on my bed. Yup. So at this point, I'm literally just in shock. I am literally staring, watching my boyfriend and my aunt make out on my freaking bed. Like, they didn't even bother to shut the door. Really? So after that, I make that sound where you go, my aunt, her eyes are bloodshot. My boyfriend's just looking at me like, oh, I effed up really bad. Like, yeah, you did. After my aunt stares at me for about 2 minutes straight, she goes, you want to join? This is really sounding like some Alabama type shit. No offense if you live in Alabama, but you know what I mean. So after she asked me that very weird and disturbing question, I start screaming, and then I hear multiple footsteps running up the stairs, and next thing I know, my mother pushes me out of the way. She starts going off on everybody there. Every single person in that room got the wrath of my mother that night. And behind my mother, the whole family is just like crowded up in this small ass hallway trying to see what the tea is. The tea is your family's a bunch of weirdos, and I just found my non-biological aunt hooking up with my boyfriend. By the way, my aunt was like 28 years old. It was on my stepdad's side, thank God, because if it was on my actual side, that would have been very freaking weird. But like I said, my mother starts going off on everybody, and my aunt's husband was there, of course. He starts going off on my boyfriend. Now, I know he wasn't in the right, but how are you gonna blame a kid? Maybe you should check your wife who's drinking while she's pregnant. That sounds like the logical answer here, you know? So my stepdad drags my aunt out of the room and starts screaming at her and his brother. If you don't get the correlation there, my aunt is married to my stepdad's brother. I just know that some people have some questions about it, so I thought I would throw it out there. Anyways, like I said, he literally drags her out of the room, like grabs her by her arm, drags her off the bed, tells her to put her fucking clothes on and get her ass outside. So my beautiful mother, she decides that she's gonna call the cops. Woo! She was not playing that night. Low-key, I'm pretty sure she had something against my aunt anyways, because she always said that she had a feeling that she was flirting with my stepdad. Gross, right? Yes. So she gets on the phone with the police. She tells them that there's a grown woman touching a minor in her house. So the police show up. My mom is dealing with that whole situation. I'm currently screaming at my boyfriend. The one thing that I will thank my boyfriend for is the cops had asked why he was drinking, and he had told them that my aunt was sneaking him drinks the whole night. Of course, she said that wasn't true, but she was already obliterated. They just weren't believing her. So after my aunt leaves, everybody's pretty much gone at this point, because when I tell you my mom went off on my whole stepdad side of the family, she went off. Like, she was calling everybody out on their shit, which I low-key felt bad, but at the same time, my mom's a bad bitch. Period. That's all I can say. She tells it like it is. So like I said, after everybody left, it was pretty much just me, my family, and my boyfriend. My boyfriend and I were now downstairs because the cops came and they wanted to talk to him, blah, 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 blah. So I had officially moved from screaming at him upstairs to now downstairs. And my mom was pretty much just letting me go at it. She did not care. But after my mom had called the police, she called his parents too to let them know what was going on. So the only reason why he didn't leave forget was because his parents wanted to come over and talk to my parents. So about 30 minutes later, his parents show up and they're talking to my parents. And my mom pretty much just goes, "I'm so sorry," like telling her how much of a train wreck my aunt was and that she had never done that before, so it was a surprise. And we had one of those like Amazon ring things like on the outside of our door. So before they walked out the door, I went on the camera to see, you know, if I could hear them say anything whenever they walked outside. And they walk out and his dad says, "I'm not mad at you, kid." He's like, "I'm mad that you got caught." Like, come on. I know it's your son, but at the same time, like, anyways, so the cousins that were at this Christmas party, they went to my high school and they pretty much were telling everybody. So the whole school pretty much knew that my boyfriend cheated on me with my aunt. Like, that's embarrassing. But not only did that get around the school, my mom had told me like a week later that apparently they were seeing each other. Yeah, we love that for them, I guess. So after that, I have my ex-boyfriend blocked, and the one day he comes over to my house and asks to talk to me. My mom wasn't home at the time. She was at work. Good thing she wasn't home because she probably would have punched him in the face. But I let him in. We start talking and he goes, "I just want you to hear it from me first. The rumors are true." I just don't get men. Like, what? Your aunt is in the middle of filing for divorce. So yeah, my aunt files for divorce. She gets with my ex-boyfriend who had just turned 18 at the time. And let me tell you guys the worst part about this. My stepdad's brother was still in love with this girl, so when they would have family events on that side of the family, he would literally let her bring my ex-boyfriend. Well, I mean, they did have a kid together, so I could see how that would, you know, kind of... Actually, no, I don't. Just take the kid. You don't have to invite my ex-boyfriend. So yes, I've had to see my ex-boyfriend at multiple family events on that side of the family. And I was forced to go because my mother did not want to be there by herself. She wouldn't really be there by herself, but she just needed me by her side so that way she didn't look like an idiot, I guess.